What's going on, everybody? This is the Scorching Trails podcast. Steven Vaughan, Torey Jones, right there. Torey, what's up, man? A lot of things are happening behind the scenes. I know for you, so that's good to know. But how are you doing? Are you sane? Is your sanity back? Or are you still being crazy right now?
It's easier to be sane when this team doesn't drive me insane. So the past couple of games have been good.
That's true. Shockingly, the Blazers have won a couple road games, so that is good. Let's go right into it. So as we're recording, the Blazers 2-3. They're coming off the 2-game winning streak. I guess you can call it a streak if you want to, but
it's a streak for this team.
Yeah, for this team it is. So let's talk about this real quick. Shaedon Sharpe. I want to start there. Shaedon Sharpe has been awesome. I mean, I don't think there's any way around it. Like the way he's playing. He's playing really well. The question I had at the end of last pod was, at what point does Shaedon Sharpe start in the starting lineup? Now, that was before we knew Anthony Simons was going to be out for 6 weeks. In fairness, we didn't know Anthony Simons was out for 6 weeks. But
you kind of jinxed that into happening, if I'm honest with you. Yeah,
I did. I do love myself with Shaedon Sharpe, so I'm glad I did that. But he started, and my question is, first of all, well, one, how can you not start him for the rest of the season? And two, what does that mean for Anthony Simons when he does come back healthy? Because, in theory right now, Shaedon Sharpe just took his spot in the lineup, right? He filled in for him for the injury. Now where does Anthony Simons come back once he comes back from that injury? I think that's a real question we can talk about.
Yeah, 100%. And I think there's two different answers. I mean, there's probably three different answers, right? Like some people would be okay with putting Sharpe back on the bench, but I was never okay with bringing Sharpe off the bench. When this dude has more responsibility, his growth is exponential. It's not even linear. Like at the end of last season when the Blazers were tanking, right? And you could have sit here and said like, it's nothing to read into. His progression at the end of last season is overblown because it was for a tanking team against opponents that didn't take them seriously. Well, guess what? He's shown the exact same stuff since he's gotten put in the starting lineup this year, and it's at the start of the season, and teams are definitely taking the Blazers seriously because it's the start of the basketball season. So when he's been given responsibility, he's grown exponentially. Like the progress he's made in the past calendar year is maybe the most progress I've ever seen a Blazer make in a calendar year, from where he was at the start of last season to where he is now in a bunch of different areas. Reading the game, passing the ball, defensively, I think he's been very solid this year. Just all around, very, very impressive. The pace he's played with on offense, where he's just like playing at his own pace and can't be bothered, will do whatever he wants on the court. Like that's star level stuff, right? So you can't put him back on the bench. He should have never came off the bench to begin with behind Matisse Thybulle. It didn't make sense, and it pissed me off. We talked about it before the season. But now, Matisse Thybulle is playing noticeably less minutes at the small forward spot than Toumani Camara, which we also discussed, like, maybe there's a chance the Blazers start Camara at small forward entering the season, and it seems like Camara is above Thybulle right now in the pecking order. So that's a conversation we're going to have later. We're going to talk about Toumani. We're going to talk about Thybulle, but I think Thybulle's the odd man out because he's not playing much anyway. He's been playing under 20 minutes a game the past couple of games. He's still in the starting lineup, but he's not playing much. So I think the answer is very, very simple. Some people overthink it and put Ant on the bench. I don't think you can do that. Some people might be okay with putting Sharpe back on the bench. I don't see how you could be okay with putting this dude back on the bench. So the answer is very simple. You start Scoot, you start Sharpe, you start Simons. Some people might want to bring Scoot off the bench, I guess, and start Ant at the 1 and Sharpe at the 2, but then you got Scoot and Brogdon, which are 2 point guards off the bench. Like, how do you make that work? You don't. Also, I don't think it's good for Scoot to bring him off the bench. Like, he was starting to find a rhythm before he turned his ankle, and also he was building chemistry with DA, like, had like 3 or 4 assists to him last night. So the answer is very simple. You start those 3 young guys, see how they look together, and see if they can function together, because I think Sharpe's guarded threes well this year. I think he can play the small forward position. I think Simons has a defensive jump left in him. Like, you just play those 3 guys together and see what it looks like. It's very simple to me.
Yeah, I'm guessing you probably thought I wouldn't agree with you, but yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think that's the only real answer to me. Like, you're not benching Scoot at this point. Like, he obviously, you're interested in him to see what he can do. Also, Scoot is out for the next game. Against Memphis, so it is what it is. So we'll see what they do with that lineup choice going forward. So as long as Scoot is back, is what all I'm saying at this point. So, if he's out for a while, then we have to reevaluate everything. But, if all three are back, it's got to be Scoot and Shaedon Sharpe, like in the starting lineup. There's no question about it. And I still think, I feel like you don't really like Thibault that much. He's fine. He's an okay player. He's a little overpaid for what he is, but there's going to be a time when Thibault can make a difference on this team, whether it's on the bench or in the starting lineup. He's been bad defensively. He hasn't made really any plays, with any steals or any blocks, but historically you just go back and look at his stats. Like, he's one of the better wing players that does that. So I think at some point he's going to, get it going a little bit. I'm not too worried about Thibault. He kind of is what he is, but you're right. Like, Shaedon Sharpe has been terrific. And this is the kind of growth that you wanted to see out of him. The thing about him is, Torey, is like, off the ball, Shaedon Sharpe is really good at 20 years old. And I think it's something that you can learn, but a lot of times it's really hard to learn how to play off the ball. And, it's off those little pin down screens. It's off of just him running off the ball, just any ball screen. But those pin down screens, he is awesome because they have to account for the fact that he can cut back door and he can go lob on you. And then he comes off the screen and he can just curl right off the screen if he wants to. He can flare off the screen if they cheat on it. And now he's developing a game where he's getting to the free throw line, right? And I think that's really impressive. I mean, you look at his numbers where he's shooting his shots. Last season, he shot a lot of mid-range jump shots. He's cut that down considerably so far early on in the season. He's getting to the rim more this season. He's getting fouled a lot more. There's a stat where he has caused the most non-shooting fouls out of anybody in the NBA for any wing in the NBA, like non-shooting fouls. So he's getting fouled when he's running off the screens. He's getting fouled when he gets the ball off of a screen, as he's making his move, he's drawing fouls. I think that's something that, a star player does. We saw that evolution with Dame, where when he came in the league, he wasn't getting those calls. He was having a hard time getting fouled. Now Dame's an expert at it. Dame's an expert at getting fouled and getting to the line, get easy points. That's what Shaedon Sharpe's going to end up doing, I think. So I love what he's doing. It's really nice to see the first couple of games. Of course, it's 5 games, very small sample size, but the obvious answer to me is you got to bench Thibault. You got to go with Scoot. You got to go with Ant. You got to go with Shaedon Sharpe with those 3 guys. Scoot, you can't bench that guy right now. Just you've instituted him. He has shown some things that are good, some things that are bad, some that are worrisome. But I think ultimately you got to let it ride with Scoot. You got to let him go and got to let him take his bumps and bruises.
Yeah, 100%. I'm not really too worried about Scoot. I was the one preaching patience going into the season, where a lot of fans were...
Is there anything that is worrisome? Because there is one thing... there's a couple things that are kind of a little worrisome for me.
List them. I'll tell you if I agree with them or not.
All right. Number 1, and I think this is a thing that he is going to learn, but he has one speed. He doesn't have a stop and go game. It's all one speed, and if he gets stopped, then he just has to turn around. I think that is a little worrisome right now. I was expecting a little more shiftiness out of him, I would say, but he just doesn't have the old hesitation yet. And I think he really struggles because he can't shoot. You just back off him, but I think there's no real hesitation to his game right now. It's all full speed when he goes, which is fine. But at some point, you have to learn how to be. You have to what's the word I'm looking for? You have to not finesse. You gotta be crafty. You gotta be crafty to get to the hoop, and he just hasn't learned it. He's 19. Not too worried about. But the one thing I am worried about is the way when he does get by his guys, how he's getting met at the rim a lot. He is getting blocked a lot at the rim. And I know that he needs to finish better off of 2 feet, but he just doesn't try. But when he goes off of 1 foot, you look at guys like Russell Westbrook. He is bamming on people off of 1 foot. You look at Dame. When he was young, he was going off of 2 feet. He was dunking over people. Scoot, when he goes up for layups, it's layups and it's underneath the rim and he's getting blocked. He's got blocked a lot early on in the season, a lot more than I thought he would. When he's trying to meet people at the rim, I thought there was going to be a lot more explosion plays when he goes up, he's going to go through people. I haven't seen a lot of that yet, and that is a little worrisome that maybe I overestimated the athletic ability that he has early on.
I mean, we saw him go through people in the G League. It doesn't seem like he has
but not in the NBA.
But
different animal.
Yeah, but there's similar plays where I feel like in the G League he would have dunked it, and he's not dunking it in the NBA. I think part of the problem is he has to try so hard and drive so fast to get around people because they're sagging. That's why you're not seeing much change of pace, because he just has to go as fast as physically possible in order to beat guys off the dribble because they don't respect his jumper. So hesitation moves aren't going to work because they have to respect your jumper. Like, if he hesitates like he's going to shoot a jumper, defenders are just going to sit there like, okay, shoot the jumper. We're not worried about your jump shot. You're 2 for, 21 from 3 throughout his first 5 games this year? Like, they're not going to worry about that. So he has to get going so fast.
He needs to manipulate the defense a little better.
Yeah,
that's what I mean by that.
He has to shoot the ball better is part of it. And then also, like, I think learning pace comes with time, and I think that's what's tough for point guards coming into the NBA is, like, unless they're a multiple year college player where they've had like some seasoning at the college level or overseas where they know how to dictate the pace. I think that's why you see a lot of freshman point guards struggle. Like, we've been able to see point guards that spent multiple years in college like come in and be able to play like a point guard, right? Tyrese Halliburton spent 2 years at Iowa State. Like, he was solid as a rookie. Andrew Nembhard, I mean, they're both on the same team now, but Andrew Nembhard spent multiple years at Gonzaga. He was good for where they took him. So, you know, there's some examples there. Whereas, like, Scoot, yes, he played in the G League for 2 years, but he's still only 19 years old. He still hasn't really learned how to dictate the pace, even in the G League last year. Like, there were times where he'd slow down, but it was mostly just like blowing by guys and dunking on guys, and then he was hitting enough jumpers where defenders respected it, and then he was able to get around them. So he has to learn that, and I'm not worried about that. Like, especially when you see Shaedon Sharpe in the way like he's learned how to slow down a little bit, change pace a little bit, dictate things a little bit more as a ball handler, given where he was a year ago. Like, if Scoot can have similar improvement, like, he'll be even better a year from now than Sharpe is at doing that, because Scoot started, like, Sharpe didn't have it in his game at all, right? He didn't have it in his game at all. He was not a ball handler. We talked about how weak his handle was coming in. Like, he got stuck and would just settle for turnaround mid-range shots. That's why he shot so many mid-ranges last year, if he couldn't get to the rim. So it was either get to the rim or, like, I'm going to get stuck and try and turn around and kick the ball back out or shoot a fadeaway mid-range. So Sharpe has improved so much in that area. I don't know how much of the credit you should give to Sharpe, how much of it is just Sharpe just learns really well, how much of it is the coaching staff, but assuming the coaching staff had a hand in that, and assuming like that maybe is where Chauncey is most valuable as coach to this team, that's where Chauncey might be the right coach for Scoot, to teach him how to dictate that thing, that pace, how to control things offensively, and how to have that sort of craft where shiftiness is basically just like being able to play it 20%, 60%, 90% and change between those speeds. Like, if every move's hard, like, it's very easy to anticipate. When you just drive at one speed, like, and it's easier to time your blocks, right? And if you're going full speed on drives, a lot of times, it's hard to, like, control your body enough to be able to finish, to be able to contort and all of that. So that's stuff that I think Scoot will learn, and I think he won't be blocked as much. I don't think he'll ever be a guy where it's just like he's just going to blow by somebody at 100 miles an hour and then go dunk on whoever's protecting the rim. So that's where he does have to learn the craft of the NBA game and how to run the NBA game. And I do think, you know, this coaching staff, given what Shaedon Sharpe has become in the past year, I do think they are equipped to help him along that path.
Did I just hear you compliment the coaching staff? That was nice. That was nice of you. No, for the record, I'm not saying I'm worried about Scoot. I think Scoot's gonna be awesome. I think he's gonna be great. So, not saying that I'm worried about him at all. 5 games in, not worried at all. Just a couple of things that I saw that I'm like, I thought it may be a little farther down the road, but it's not. So, you know, Scoot's the man. I love Scoot. I think he's gonna be great. So, continue playing him, playing with Simons, playing with Sharpe. Play him with Camara, maybe? Torey? I mean, I was here. You know what? I'm not gonna say I'm wrong. I was skeptical, very skeptical of Toumani Camara. Right? It wasn't that I hated him. It was just, you know what? This is preseason. We've seen a lot of preseason all-stars. Whatever. Prove it in the games. Well, the first 5 games, to see what Toumani Camara has proven that he belongs in the NBA. Here's the thing that shocked me, though, Torey. So we knew defensively he was pretty solid in the preseason. We thought that would translate to the regular season, and it has. The team, 10 points better when he's on the court defensively. Not a surprise. But what was shocking when I looked this up today, Torey, was the Blazers with Camara on the court are 16.6 points better offensively per 100 possessions when he's on the court. And that's with him not even shooting the ball well.
No.
That's just with him basically cutting to the hoop or drawing a foul or making the extra pass. Like, I think, he may never be a great offensive player. Like, he just might not, and that's okay. But I think as long as he could do some other things, and as long as the offense continues to play well with him on the court, you have to continue playing him and keep playing him a lot because he does so much on the defensive side. I mean, hats off to Toumani Camara the first 5 games of the season. He's definitely proven that he belongs in the rotation and maybe deserves even more minutes than his 21 and a half a game he's getting.
Yeah, I mean, he's a glue guy, right? And that's why I was excited about him, is because on defense, he's something the Blazers haven't had since Harkless and Aminu, and that's a guy with like legitimate power forward size that can guards on the perimeter. Like, I thought he did a good job on Cade Cunningham against Detroit, and then also block shots around the rim. Like, he's versatile, right? But the thing that's really impressed me is he's smart. He's smart defensively. Like, just watch him off the ball, how fast he recognizes where he needs to be. And that's something that you don't really notice if you're just kind of like casually watching a game. Like, you really have to watch players to notice that. But like, take Draymond Green, for example. He's not the most athletic guy. He's not the biggest guy, but he's a great defender because he's the smartest defender in the league. He sees things happen very quick. He knows what to do. He knows where to be. He knows how to anticipate things. He knows how to cross switch off the ball if he needs to. Like, he can quarterback in that way. Toumani is just smart. He's aware. He rotates as quick as anybody on this team if he needs to make a rotation. If he's help man that needs to come across the paint, he gets across the paint quickly. And on the ball, he's solid as well. So, like, just the versatility defensively is super exciting to have that out of a forward, because the Blazers have been sorely missing that since Aminu and Harkless, and that is a big reason why the defense declined so much after the Blazers got rid of them, and why they went from a Western Conference Finals team to a team that barely made the playoffs the following year, and that was the bubble year, right? And I feel like we took, me included, Harkless and Aminu a little bit for granted what they did defensively. Everybody knew they were good defenders, but that versatility that they provided was really hard to fill back in when they lost them. When Aminu went elsewhere, Harkless went elsewhere, and it's not like those guys did anything when they left, right? When they left, Aminu got hurt in Orlando. Harkless went to the Clippers and kind of found his way out of the league, fell out of the league. So it was like, oh, wow, look at those guys. They're not that good. But they gave Portland in their backcourt exactly what they needed, which is 2 switchable defenders. One can guard the point guard. One can guard the power forward. One could maybe even switch onto the center. One could guard, the Devin Bookers of the world, right? Like, they could guard the best players on the opposing teams. And they also having that length at the 3 and the 4 made it so, like, Dame or CJ, if they were switched onto a bigger player, you had guys that could rotate and wall up at the rim, right? So if Dame, CJ get beat off the dribble, you had the rim covered. And that's why even with Enes Kanter in the playoffs, they were able to make part of a run. Now, Aminu and Harkless didn't play too great in that playoff run, but you also had Zach Collins. And Zach Collins is a good defensive big as well that can switch out and defend a little bit on the perimeter, but also block some shots. And he was huge during that playoff run. So the Blazers were just missing these types of defensive players. Like, Robert Covington was not somebody that defends on the ball. Jeremy Grant is not somebody who defends guards. He can't get through a screen. So they've just been missing this type of guy, and that's what got me so excited about Toumani. It's just the defense especially, man. So, I can touch upon his offense, but what do you think of his defense? Like, anything you want to add to that?
No. I mean, you hit it on the head right there. That's the thing. He can guard 1 through 4, basically, and I think it's so valuable in the NBA nowadays. I mean, you go and you look at the lineup, that lineup when it was the backups, it's Brogdon, Williams, Sharpe, Jabari, Toumani Camara. Like, their defensive rating has been really good in the games that they've played together. And, that's like really good, Sharpe's in the starting lineup now, but you take those other guys, that's a good second unit. And I think Toumani fits in perfectly with that. I think as long, like I said, as long as they can score, the Blazers offense can continue to score with Toumani in the lineup, there's no reason not to play the guy. And I think one of the other reasons why, like, you talk about the smart, like, he's very smart, very good high IQ player. He's also an explosive jumper. Like, he's not like going to jump out of the gym, but he gets up quick. And you see that offensive rebounds, like he's a good offensive rebounder. He's always cutting the hoop. You see those on block shots. Like he gets up real quick. It's not that he's the biggest leaper, but he gets up quick and he beats the rim. He's not afraid. He's not afraid to get dunked on if he wants to. Like he's gonna try to get after every play. So yeah, it's just one of those things where, good steal. What a steal by the Blazers to get that after 5 games. I mean, it's impressive. Like he's definitely impressed me a lot in the first couple of games. He's playing a lot better than I thought he would. So, give him some props, and I want to see him play more because it's fun when he's out there. He makes the right plays, and it's just like it's so unusual to see that out of any Blazer wing to like make the right play. So, really cool. Really cool and really fun to see. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, 100%. Before I talk about his offense, like his rebounding is phenomenal, right? And
it's great.
It's more than just his rebounding stats, right? In 23 minutes a game, he's averaging 4.6 rebounds, which per 36, he's getting 7.1 rebounds every 36 minutes that he plays, right? For a guy that can play the 3 or the 4, that's pretty good. Like, that's better than Jeremy Grant. But he boxes out so well. Like, that stretch yesterday where he had that huge block and then went down the court and had that and one? Did you see the defensive possession after that where he just completely... I don't even remember who it was. It might have been Wiseman. Like, I think it was a big player. But he just completely boxed somebody out of a play. Like, he has some of the best box outs I've ever seen out of a Blazer. And it's not flashy, like, it's something that will fly under the radar. But there's been multiple games where I'm like, oh my goodness, that was a great box out. And when you box out, like, you don't really care. Like, okay, they're doing what they should do. When players don't box out, you notice. Like, look at KD when he gave up that putback to Victor Wembanyama a couple nights ago when the Suns choked that game, right? And it was like, KD didn't box him out. Why the hell didn't he box him out? He just gave him a dunk because he didn't box out. Like, it's little effort things that matter in the NBA. You don't want to give up extra possessions. And I was worried about this team's defensive rebounding. Like, Grant's not a great rebounder. Thybulle's whatever. Like, Ayton had his question marks. He's been good for what it's worth. Really good rebounding the ball.
Really good, yeah.
Really good. So I've been impressed with him. But Toumani, man. Toumani controls the boards. As a small forward, he's one of the best rebounding small forwards if he's at that spot in the league. And it's partly because he can go grab a rebound. He's long. He's athletic. But also partly because he doesn't give up offensive rebounds because he boxes out almost every single time and he has great box outs.
Oh, he plays the game the right way. Like, I love that, and you don't see that a lot. Again, though, 5 games. Let's pump the brakes a little bit. I love it. I want to continue seeing it, but I will say this: like,
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're going to get into his offense at all, but I want to know, with whatever you're going to say, why do you think the offense has been better with him on the court despite his lack of shooting?
Well, when he does score, it's at the rim. Like he plays. He's not like he shoots the 3, like he shoots threes, but he cuts to the hoop really well. He's a really good cutter, really good offensive rebounder. The team actually gets a lot of offensive rebounds when he's on the court, like because he's always crashing the boards. I think that's part of it. I don't know. I really have no idea like why it would be that. I just you don't have to have 5 really good offensive players. I guess I don't know. Like what is the reason why? What do you think? I really have no idea.
It's
like that's why I don't know if it's sustainable. That's why I was shocked when I saw that stat. I'm like, I would not have expected the Blazers offense to be so good with him out there, but at the same time, like he makes right plays. He's always in the right position. He'll set a screen. He can pass. He can do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of who he's playing next to. Like I think the bench has been a little better than the starting lineup this year.
Like Brogdon's been great.
Yeah. So I think like playing a lot next to Brogdon does help that, but also in 116 minutes played, he has 2 turnovers. That's per 100 possessions, 0.8 turnovers. For a rookie, that's really good. Like, I know he doesn't handle the ball, but just we see guys in the flow of things on this team, veterans even, that just are sloppy, super sloppy. He's not. He takes care of the ball, and he'll make the right extra pass. Like, he has 6 assists. It's not much to 2 turnovers, but he sees things. Like, he sees the right cut to make. He sees the extra pass.
We see this, like, people don't even know how to pass into the post with the Blazers. Like, he actually knows how to pass. Like, it seems so easy. It seems so easy to pass into the post, but people have such a hard time doing it. Like, he just knows how to make a right play.
Ayton does make it harder because he does a bad job sealing his man, too. Like, we've had multiple turnovers this season where I feel like Ayton has good position and he doesn't like seal off his man well and lets him fight through and steal the ball. So, some of it I think is on the big, but he just doesn't force anything. And I know that's not flashy, but having a guy as your fifth guy in the game that's just like not going to make a mistake, will make the right cut, will crash the offensive glass. He's 27% from three, but like he shoots them with confidence, and it seems like teams respect his 3-point shot. Like teams aren't just leaving him wide open.
That's going to have to go up though.
Yeah, and I think it will if teams leave him wide open. I think he's shooting a better number. Like, he has good form. He shot good in the preseason. So, in a small sample, you'll get weird stuff where, like, this player is inefficient, but the offense is much better with him in it. But I think little things add up in terms of being a guy that'll make the right cut, being a guy that'll crash the boards, being a guy that won't turn it over, that'll make the right extra pass. Like, he's just a perfect glue guy right now, and that's the thing. He's been super impactful and fun to watch with him missing a bunch of shots. Just imagine if he starts hitting shots, how good of a player he'll be, how good of a glue guy he'll be. Like, he might be a starter on this team long term if he can become a guy that can knock down threes and drive.
Well, we always talk about, like, if they are going to go with Anthony Simons and Scoot Henderson, like, who's the type of player you need next to them to make sure you got it defensively? Like, that's the type of guy right there, right? Yeah. Like, Toumani Camara, like, has the skills, has the build to be that guy to make you be able to have two smaller, average to below average defenders out on the court. And I know you're going to be like, oh, Anthony Simons is above average now, whatever. But I'm just saying, in theory, like, that's what you would need to have. So, yeah, I mean, Toumani, he did great. I can't wait to see more. I think it's very obvious that he has passed up Chris Murray and Jabari Walker as being, like, the guy, that backup wing off the bench.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in a way, he makes me more annoyed at the Chris Murray pick, but also he makes me feel better about the Chris Murray pick because I'm just going to say, like, yeah, we got Toumani Camara at 23.
They tried. They're just going to draft a bunch of guys and get as many those 6'8" players as they can, and hopefully one pans out, and it looks like one has.
Hey, it's a better strategy than a bunch of 6'2" guys and hoping one of them pans out like we've always done, especially when we got a bunch of them.
You know what? Hey, give Joe Cronin credit. He's getting taller, Torey. Give Joe and Chauncey some credit, will you?
Hey, I gave Chauncey credit earlier on this recording, and you remember one of the first things I tweeted out when we made that Dame trade? I was talking about how Toumani Camara is a steal, and I was giving Joe credit for that. So I will take my props on being the Toumani truther. I said it before the season. I am the Toumani truther.
You will always take credit for any second round pick that does well.
So. Of course.
It's the
funnest thing to get right when it's talking about hoops, man.
It really is, though, because it's like, oh, who's this guy? Oh, I got it right. I thought he'd be good. No, I'm with you. It's great.
It's my favorite.
I do want to talk about Malcolm Brogdon real quick.
Yeah.
And express my love for Malcolm Brogdon. Okay, here's my thing with Malcolm, and I want to be nice about it because I love him so much. I'm sad that the Blazers will end up trading him eventually. It's not that I want to build around Malcolm Brogdon, but Torey, this is the backup guard the Blazers have been looking for, like, since 2000, like since a long time ago. Like, this is the guy. He is a legitimately good NBA player, and he comes off the bench and he's cool with it, and he comes in and he hits big shots and he makes plays. He runs that second unit so well. Like, man, even when they had Dame and CJ, I would have loved to have a guy like this that you could just throw in there and then say, hey, Dame, CJ, don't worry about it. Brogdon's got you. Like, love the fact that Malcolm Brogdon can control the show, and I'm sad about it that they're going to trade him at some point. But they have to. I understand that they have to, but, man, I just want to give some props to Brogdon. And he's been awesome and a lot better than I thought he would be. Like, he fits in perfectly with this team. Like, I can't imagine he's super happy to be in Portland. But you can't tell by the way he plays, man. The guy plays hard. The guy makes the right plays. He's hit some big shots in those wins, man. So I just wanted to say I love you, Malcolm Brogdon.
Yeah, you love him more than I do. He's been producing. Like, here's the thing is, if I'm nitpicking him, like, I feel like there's a lot of times where he does over dribble. At the same time, in some of the lineups that the Blazers have out there, like, he kind of has to, and he has to be the guy that, like, creates something because he's played with some lineups without much shot creation there. And at the end of the day, despite feeling like maybe he over dribbles a little bit, he's freaking producing. Like, 18 points per game on solid efficiency in 27 minutes a game with over 4 assists. Like that's sixth man of the year type stuff. He's the reigning sixth man of the year for a reason. So he's, I think
that's why I'm sad, because he's just a legitimate sixth man. Like, the Blazers have always needed that guy. Think about all those years the Blazers had a good starting lineup and then no bench. And it's like, if you just had a guy like this, that would help out so much. But that, I know they're going to trade him at some point. Like, I can't imagine they're going to hang on to this guy. But he's been awesome.
Yeah, they have to trade him. And if he plays like this, they'll probably be able to get back more for him. You know what I mean? Because, like, which
is good.
Had injury questions last off season. I forget, he had surgery on something, I believe, and I don't know how much that weighed down his value. I don't know how much worse his value was because of that. But you look at a guy at the deadline, if he's averaging 18 and 4 efficiently at a guard spot and is a veteran, like, contending teams are gonna want him.
Yeah, how could a contending team not want that guy? Check this out, Malcolm Brogdon, his usage rate, Torey, 30.7%. Yeah, I mean, that's a little high. It's a little high for Malcolm Brogdon, but it's a lot.
If Ant didn't get hurt, I think that usage rate would be a little bit lower. I think part of it is a byproduct of Ant getting hurt. That would be by far the highest usage rate of his career. But I mean, if you're gonna play him into better trade value, that's a win, because in the end of the day, like, you got Scoot, you got Ant, you got Sharpe, right? Like, you probably don't need them. You probably want to play Sharpe some shooting guard minutes, which cuts down the available guard minutes. So, especially if you got Ant there. And at this point, like, once the Blazers get to contention, they can find a good guard off the bench. I know they didn't do a good job filling in their bench for like a decade, but that doesn't mean you can't find a good guard. He's probably not going to be as good as Malcolm Brogdon, but you can find a good guard off the bench.
I'm just haunted by it, Torey.
Yeah, I feel
haunted, dude.
The days of Eric Maynor and Ronnie Price.
Oh,
and
I love Eric Maynor.
Earl Watson and
I got my pictures of Earl Watson.
Brian. You remember Brian Roberts?
Brian Robertson, he was the big trade at the trade deadline.
Oh, God, man. Yeah, I don't.
Dayton guy.
And then we signed Steve Blake for like the millionth time, and it's like super exciting. Steve Blake is back, but it's Steve Blake.
Because he was great. He was awesome. Jared Jack, all these guys. Mo Williams.
Mo Williams was the best one.
He was legit.
He was just like a shooter, He wasn't as well rounded.
Seth Curry too. Seth Curry was really good.
Seth Curry filled his role beautifully.
He was great, man.
Yeah. So and the thing is, when they had Seth Curry, like, him off the bench, if they didn't have Seth Curry, I don't know if they win in the first round. Like, a couple of those games were pretty close, and he was huge. That's why the Blazers were so good in 2019. They got those role players off the bench, so I feel you.
They were deep, dude. Like, that's the thing. Like, that's why this team, I think, if I had to pick, they'd be right around like 30 wins, is because they are somewhat deep. Like, they have guys that can play. Even Jabari Walker can play. Like, he's been playing really well this year. You go and you look around. I mean, Skylar Mays, for what he is, like, he's not terrible. Like, he's not good, but he's not terrible. So
I'd take Skylar Mays over some of those backup point guards I listed.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I'm with you. Like, it's a nice sight to see that they actually have guys off the bench that you can trust and you can throw out there. So it's fun.
100%. I will say this about trading Brogdon, though. Like, at the end of the day, the Blazers have to find a star in the front court at the end of the day. Like, they have to find a star, like a big, Jason Tatum, like 3-4 man, or maybe a 4-5. At the end of the day, you look at the teams that win, and they have a guy that can dominate at like one of those spots, and they normally have like a really good guard, right? You look at the Celtics, they got Jason Tatum. You look at the Bucks, they got Giannis. You look at the Nuggets, they got Jokic. The Lakers were in the conference finals last year. They got AD, they got LeBron. You look at the Heat, like Bam's pretty good. Jimmy Butler's like a big wing. So a lot of these contending teams have somebody that can that plays one of those positions, and I think long term the Blazers are going to have to find that guy. I don't think he's on the roster right now. As much as I'd love for it to be Toumani Camara, like Toumani Camara is more like just the role player you love, not a guy that I see being a top 10 to 20 player in the league. So how do they find that? They need assets. It's not something where they need to go get that right now, but they need to gear up and add assets, add draft picks to get that guy in the future. Because at the end of the day in the Western Conference, they're going to have to if they want to win a championship, they're going to have to go through Victor Wembanyama. One day, this is going to be Victor Wembanyama's conference. Maybe that day is coming sooner than ever. Tonight?
It might be tonight, Torey.
Dude.
This might have been the coming out party.
I had the Spurs as my 8th seed going into the season. And a big part of it was, like, Wemby, I believe in him that much as a game changer on both sides of the ball.
Are you afraid they're going to shut him down at some point, though?
I mean, if they're going for a playoff spot, I don't know why they would. If they're the 7th, 8th seed in the West,
because Pop looks and he's like, dude, we need some more players. So let's get a better draft pick.
Dude, like if Wemby's a superstar, Vassell has been playing like a borderline all-star. I mean, and Pop is the type of coach where he just likes having a bunch of those guys that play their role really well, right? I don't even know if they need more like long-term. They got a lot of young talent. They probably need to upgrade at the point guard spot, but they got pieces like Sohan. Zach Collins has been good. Zach Collins is better. He's improved since he left Portland.
That rotation with Sohan, Wembanyama, and Collins, like that's gonna be legit.
Defensively, my goodness, like they got dudes, bro. And Zach can pass the ball now. Like he's averaging almost 5 assists a game. So, like, he works really well next to Wemby on both sides of the court.
Sohan basically plays their point guard on offense.
Yeah. Like, they got dudes that are big and can pass the ball and play some defense next to Wembanyama. Like, they are... How do you compete with that roster construction if they're playing those 3 guys? You need dudes that are big in the front court that can slow those guys down. Like, you're not going to stop Wemby. You know? Wemby's going to be a 30-point-per-game scorer someday. Right? Just like you can't stop Jokic. But if you want to beat the Nuggets right now, you got to have somebody that can make life a little bit tougher on Jokic. That's the only way you can beat him. The Blazers need that guy for Wemby. I think Ayton's been solid defensively this year, but I don't think Ayton is it. Like they need their Jaren Jackson Jr. or, you know, Bam Adebayo or just like an anchor to their defense that can also be really good on the offensive end. I don't know who that is, but the Blazers have to gear up to try and go after that player, whoever that player is, when he becomes available, 3 years from now, right? When they're getting into, hopefully, contention. So, how do you do that? You get future picks. You trade a guy like Malcolm Brogdon. You don't keep him. So, that's my thoughts, but...
It's a good thing that those guys are so easy to find, too, Torey.
You know what? In this year's draft, there is one of those guys. You see that Sarr kid from France? Alex Sarr. Do you know who I'm talking about? He plays for, in the NBL, plays for Perth, dominated the G League Ignite. He's like a legitimate 7-footer that can really move, really long arms. That's the type of guy you need. If the Blazers are bad again, I would take that guy number 1 right now. Like, that's the guy I really, really want out of this year's draft. And that I think would be a great fit for Portland.
I'm just hopping on the Spurs bandwagon. I love everything they do. I love Popovich. I think he's awesome. Sohan, I wanted if the Blazers weren't going to draft Sharpe, this was the guy I wanted. Mm-hmm. I loved him coming out of LSU or Baylor. LSU, Baylor.
Yeah,
I thought he was like Scotty Barnes.
Yeah, no, he's
who by the way is balling.
He's killing it, man.
Barnes.
He broke out. Like people thought he was going to break out his sophomore year. He just delayed it by a year, but
he did.
I mean, poor dude. Just watching Wemby, it's so much fun right now because the Blazers suck and it's like whatever. But realize, like,
you are right though.
The future is
right that the Blazers have like on the roster. The Blazers have no one that even come close to guarding a guy like that.
Yeah, which is fine. Like they got time, but I'm just like, we are not the team that's trying to compete with the teams that are competing right now. We're in a rebuild, so now it's like, okay, what's the West look like 5 years from now? OKC. Who has Chet, by the way, and he's been really, really good. Have you seen his shooting numbers? Through his first 5 games, it's like 62% from the field, 50% from 3, 16 a game, 2.5 blocks. Like Chet's legit. Like 80%,
90.
80%, 80. He's 60, 50, 80 right now.
Oh, so he can't. So he probably won't be able to get to 90% free throws.
I mean, he could shoot, but that's, how many... Dirk that's is tough, probably the only big, Chet's for real. I know he had his doubters, and I was saying he's going to be for real. Obviously, like, both these big men got to stay healthy, right? But, I mean, injuries are tough. And
hey, I was a Chet doubter.
You were a Chet doubter. But I remember arguments.
We'll see if he stays healthy.
Yeah, but having
to
less
say
weight as a big, is that a bad thing in terms of getting hurt? Like, the bigger you are, I feel like that's a lot of weight coming down.
Definitely.
So I've never subscribed to the fact that like
Jokic said, Jokic says he needs to get fatter.
Yeah, I mean, Jokic don't jump.
Jokic says.
Jokic doesn't jump. Here's the thing: Chet's put on muscle though, for real.
He looks good.
Yeah,
no doubt about it.
Yeah,
and it's not that I thought Chet would be bad. I would never bought into the whole Chet Holmgren is going to be really good on the offensive side of the ball. I knew defensively he'd be good. Like off the ball, he's going to be able to block shots. He'll be able to play defensively. I didn't know that he'd be able to average 15 points a game his rookie season. That's just kind of where it was.
Yeah, I never understood that. He could always shoot and dribble and is 7 feet tall and can move. Like
I just
those
didn't
guys
see it at
find a way.
Gonzaga like that though.
What's up?
But, yeah, when he was at Gonzaga, he had moments, but like it just wasn't ever consistent. So I didn't know that it was going to be consistent in the NBA.
Yeah, but with Gonzaga, it was one of those things where like they have a really, really good system and that system works, so they're going to run that system. Like they're not just going to give him a ball and he's going to be like some ultra creator, or he'll hit some threes. And that's the thing is like you take those skills and you bet on them continuing to improve and become something at the NBA level, right? Like even if it's not consistent at the college level, because it wasn't, because a lot of times it's situations. So I mean, here's the thing: those two teams are going to be the best two teams in the West 5 years from now, in my opinion. And I think Denver can still be good because I think Jokic's game will age very, very well. Because he's just a fat, fat old man dominating at 37. So you're going to need someone to slow him down too. That's 3 bigs. That's 3 7-footers. Like the battles between Chet and Wemby are going to be fascinating years from now in the playoffs. Like that's going to be fun. That's the new NBA in a way. You look at Evan Mobley, like offensively, he's not as good as the other two. Defensively, he's a game changer, though, and he's been the power forward for Cleveland. The league went a little bit smaller and went towards shooting, right? The three-point shot has become a lot bigger. Now it's going bigger and still going with shooting. It's 7-footers, guys that are 7'4" that can shoot. So you got to find a way to guard them.
It's impossible to like compare any type of era in the NBA.
Yeah.
Even like 5 years ago, the NBA is so different than it was 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like think back when the Blazers made the Western Conference Finals. When was that? 2019.
2019, yeah.
Dude, that's 4 years ago. Think how different the NBA is played. Like it's crazy.
100%. So
it's always evolving.
Yeah, so that's why I want Sarr, because Sarr is skilled and can move and can handle and shoot a little bit and is like a legitimate 7-footer.
And because of that, can I clarify something about Anthony Simons?
Go ahead.
I see the comments, people get on me about it. Look, he's a good player, but even you admitted this, Torey. You can find the backup guards that could do things. And I'm not saying he's a backup guard. He's better than that. But you could find solid players that fill in for that. All I wanted was better wings, better 6'7", better 6'8" guys. Like we want, like Toumani Camara out there. I want more guys like him, but more skilled. I want a better offensive player like him. I don't want another 6'3" Anthony Simons. That's all I'm saying by that. I understand that he's better than a lot of these guys that I name off when I say Cam Thomas or I say Jordan Clarkson. Obviously, Anthony Simons is better. Obviously.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's not. But it's just you could find guys that are a little bit lower than Anthony Simons for less money, and then you can use that if he's with his value, use that somewhere else. That's all I'm saying by that.
It's hard to find somebody that's like close to Ant for less money. I think Ant's on a good contract. People say he's on a bad contract. I think he's on a good contract. Most of those guys close. No,
and I'm not saying. Like, and again, I'm not saying it's a bad contract. But what I'm saying is you can find a guy for $15 million that does what Ant does, just a little slightly less, and then you can try to get some, upgrade other places. That's what I mean by that.
Yeah, I just don't think it's as simple as like you slightly reduce your production in Anthony Simons' role for slightly less money, and then you get
Anthony
more money because they're going to be over the cap.
Is he the 10th best shooting guard in the NBA? Whatever.
Sure, let's just hypothetically say.
Hypothetically say he's the 10th best shooting guard in the NBA. I think you could go out if you got the 20th best shooting guard. It's a lot less of a difference between 10 and 20 shooting guard than it is when you're looking at a power forward or a wing. That's like the 10th best. That's all that I've ever stated about that, is why I would rather have them build around someone else than Anthony Simons. Like he's not a building block of the team. You
feel that way because you haven't had those wings and you've had guards. That's why You like, we haven't watched this team struggle to make shots for 3 years where they're like a bottom 10 3-point shooting team, and we get Des, we're like, just give me somebody that can hit threes off the dribble and shoot threes on volume at a good percentage. If we were, I feel like we'd value Ant higher, but because we've had CJ, because we've had Dame, because we got a guy like Sharpe now, Ant gets a bit undervalued because of that. Now, like in today's NBA, there is a lot of shooting out there. Like, it's a little bit harder to find that wing, but you would obviously trade Ant for Evan Mobley, Chet Holmgren, those types of bigs, because they're harder to get. So it's not a situation where it's like Ant is more valuable than them, but Ant's value is at his position. He's a valuable player as a guard, and you do need guards in the NBA. You do need guys that can space the court for whoever your wing, whoever your big is, that are lethal three-point shooters, where if you double down, they'll make teams pay, they'll get hot, and they'll pour in buckets. You need guys that can attack off the dribble and then feed these bigs, secondary playmaker type of guys. So that's the thing is I don't compare Ant to front court players and like, we could get a little bit worse at this spot and that'd be fine and we can use it to get a front court player. Like in a vacuum, maybe that does make sense, but it all comes back to like, how do the pieces fit as a whole? And Ant shouldn't be undervalued because the Blazers don't have that top wing or front court player.
That's fair. I hope we're all on the same page here. I don't hate him. I understand he's a good player. And I want him back. I want him back for the Blazers. The Blazers could definitely use him. That's for sure. The Blazers could use a guy like Anthony Simons right now.
That's your Anthony Simons is your most like bold as far as what the comment section thinks.
I'm not an Anthony Simons hater.
That they hate your Ant takes. That's the one thing that I think drives a lot of people crazy, because we got a bunch of Ant stands over here, man. We got a bunch. There's some people out there like. I look at, Reddit and Twitter, and I see a lot of people like bring Ant off the bench or we got to trade Ant. Over here, my community, we love ourselves Anthony Simons, so it's kind of rough on you over here, man.
I know, and I talk mostly to your community, so it's like, this is the Anthony Simons hater. So that's, again, I don't want to be a hater. I don't try to be a hater. Just my opinion.
See, I like him.
He's a good player.
No, I understand what you're saying in terms of like your argument, So I'm cool with it, I just think
people are tired. People are tired of it. I wanted to address it.
Yeah. I just think at the end of the day, like, you can't just get rid of Ant right now either. You'd be selling too low on him.
No.
Like, he still exactly. I feel like he still has growth because I feel like he works hard. He's improved every year, and there is an argument.
He's got to prove he can stay healthy.
What? I mean,
wasn't he hurt last season too? Before they tanked, or am I wrong?
I don't remember that. I don't know. Like, I don't remember. Like players are gonna get banged up a little bit. Scoot has to prove he can stay healthy because he's already dealt with 2 injuries, and that's in one summer league. And I mean, Ant played 62 games last year, and they tanked. So
you're right. He didn't miss a lot of games.
Yeah.
Oh, he had that one stretch. He had one stretch where he missed some games.
Yeah, where he missed like a few. But that's gonna happen. Like, players are gonna miss a few games.
He missed 7 of 8. He played one game in the middle of it, played 20 minutes, and then that's hurt.
Yeah, like Dame was super durable. For the most of his time here. So.
Are you worried about Dame in the Bucks right now?
No, they need to figure out how to freaking utilize
30th defensively, huh?
You're
not worried about it?
They'll be fine. I mean, I haven't watched them as much as I've wanted to. I don't think, Griffin, is he coaching things properly defensively? I don't know. But like, there's more. The Dame's a downgrade from Drew, so they're going to get a bit worse defensively, but they're not going to get that bad. There's obviously other problems there. Also, Toronto should just. Man. Here's the thing: in 5 games, like, you're gonna have. It's such a small sample that you're gonna have teams that just have hot shooting games against you, maybe at the start of the year, and your defense looks really bad because of it. Toronto shot. I forget what they shot from 3. But after going 4 for 29 against us, they just made everything against Milwaukee. And I have a hard time thinking that we defended the 3-point line that much better than Milwaukee. You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's true. I'm just trying to cause some problems here. I just think it's funny. Yeah, I mean, when you score 130 points and you hit 15 threes, I mean, what are you gonna do? You're gonna win game. So,
yeah.
So it's just funny.
the thing is like the Bucks can win a game where they give up 130, but Dame has to have more than 9 shots. He had 9 shots in 31 minutes. It's like his least shots in 2018. So what'd you get him for? Well, you ain't gonna use him.
Yeah, and it's gonna be an adjustment, right? Like Dame has to learn how to play, not like where he's gonna get the ball every time, right? Like he has to learn how to do this. He's never had to do it in his career. Like it's gonna be an adjustment. It's gonna be an adjustment for Giannis to be able to drive down the middle and say, "Oh, I have Dame on the outside. It's not Drew Holiday, or it's not Grayson Allen. I got Damian Lillard, a top 75 guy out there wide open. I got to get him the ball. Like it's gonna take time. I was messing around. I think the Bucks are gonna be great.
The Heat wish they had him right now because they're 1-4.
The Heat.
We're better than the Heat.
Get out of there, Heat. They need Malcolm Brogdon.
Yeah, Brogdon would actually be helpful for them, but I don't see these two teams making a deal. I'm gonna go through the standings here: contender or pretender. Okay.
Oh yeah.
For the teams at the top. So I'm gonna ask ones that are not obvious.
Are we defining contenders as NBA championship or like, I don't know, Western Conference Finals? Really?
Well, I'll okay.
Like second round.
You know what? Contender or pretender is a nice name of a segment, but like for some of these teams, it's more like playoff team or not a playoff team.
Like good or not good. Okay.
Yeah. Gotcha. So like, Orlando's 3-2, 4th place in the East right now. Playoff team or no?
Yeah, playoff team or at least play-in team. Yeah, they're good. I actually bet on them last season. Really long shot. I think it was like 175-1 to win their division, and it wasn't looking terrible like through the first half of the season. Because I mean, we've talked about how talented they are. Orlando's really good, so yeah, I think they're a playoff team.
Yeah, I had them as the 6th seed in my projections. I'm high on them. So playoff, play-in, or lotto for Indiana, because that was another team that people were pretty high on.
I would go play-in or lotto. They're not a playoff team. That defense is not great. Halliburton is really good. I don't know. He's one of those players where I want to see him do it in really tight games, really tough games when stuff actually matters. He's been on such bad teams. Like people can get stats on bad teams. I want to see him do it on a good team. I think he's really good, but they're still a little young. I would say they're play-in lottery. Probably play-in, maybe lottery. I don't know. I have them
in the play-in. And then is Miami a playoff, play-in, or lotto team?
Playoff team. They're a playoff team. They're fine. They'll be all right.
I think they'll be.
I trust Miami.
At best, I think they'll be in the play-in once again, because they're a play-in team last year. Yeah.
Like, what do you think? There's something wrong with their roster? They're not going to fix it.
I just don't think they're that good. Like, I think they overachieved in the playoffs. I think teams underachieved against them. I think they had shooting luck in the playoffs. They also lost Max Strus, Gabe Vincent. Also, Jimmy's another year older. Also, like, this team wasn't that good in the regular season last year either. Like, I don't think they're that good. They are one of the worst offensive teams in the league. Like, Jimmy's good. I always thought that regular season Jimmy got overrated because of what he would do in the playoffs. And, I don't know why he's so much better in the playoffs, but, like, that's your best player. Bam isn't somebody you, like, he can score, but it's more so in the flow. Like, occasionally he'll give him the ball, but what's he most likely to shoot? A fadeaway, like, 10-footer as he dribbles across the paint, right? They just, they don't have guys like that. They don't have guys that can really score the ball. Anthony Simons, if they had Anthony Simons, they would be a top 4 team in the East. Anthony Simons is, like, so perfect for them. So perfect.
They do need a guy like Anthony Simons. They just need a shooter. They need someone that can shoot.
Yeah, like, Hero's been
Max
good for them.
Like, Strus he's a solid. He's not like pure shooter. Max Strus isn't.
Yeah,
he's just like a really good basketball player. Like, and they lost him, and now they have no shooting. Yeah, Hero's good. Tyler Hero's a good player, but he is what he is.
Miami has no depth. Caleb Martin has only played 1 game, and, like, I feel like he got a little overrated because of his playoffs. And then they're playing, like...
You think he got a little overrated there, Torey?
A little bit. Kevin Love's playing 22 minutes a game. Haywood Highsmith's playing 22 minutes a game. Kyle Lowry's playing 30 minutes a game and averaging 6 points. Jimmy Butler's only averaging 16 points per game. Like, they're old. They don't have much depth. They don't have much shooting. They're really not that good. They needed Dame.
They definitely needed Dame. I think that they'll still make the playoffs. If they make the play-in, they'll definitely make the playoffs, but I think that they will get to the 6th seed.
Yeah, and by play-in, I mean, like, at the end of the regular season, they'll be 7th to 10th.
Yeah. They could be that, but I think if they get in the play-in, they'll win the play-in tournament and they'll get into the playoffs.
They almost lost it last year. They were like a couple possessions away from missing the playoffs, which would have been wild.
Statistically, they're the worst NBA Finals team by far. It's not even close.
Yeah. West, you have a couple interesting teams that are starting the season well. Dallas, playoff play-in or lotto?
They're a play-in team. I know people hate Kyrie, but the dude is awesome when he plays. The addition of Grant Williams, I think, is going to work out really well. Even Kleber's been not super healthy when he plays. Mavericks are really good. And I love Luka. Luka is one of my favorite players. So, I think they're at least a play-in team.
I think they're a play-in. I think Grant Williams and Derrick Jones on a small sample size have been overachieving. Derrick Jones started the last couple of games for them and, scored. Was efficient. And
Lively's going to be really good too.
Yeah, I love Lively. But Grant Williams and Derrick Jones Jr. averaged or combined for 42 points on over 50% from 3 on 9 threes. Grant Williams was 7 for 9. Derrick Jones Jr. hit a couple that. That's not going to continue at that rate. They're averaging the most points per game in the West. They can definitely score the ball, but defense, I think, at some point will hurt them. And if one of Kyrie or Luka go down at all, they're going to struggle. So
they're screwed. Yeah. Fun fact of the day: out of forwards of the NBA, you want to know who's number 1 in points per shot attempt?
Who?
Grant Williams.
Yeah, not surprising.
In the entire
last
NBA.
Night. Yeah, I mean, it's surprising if you told me this before.
100 shots.
Yeah.
Per 100 shots, Torey, he's scoring 155 points.
Yeah, that's wild. He's been crazy efficient. I didn't expect it, but after seeing his stat line last night, he was super efficient last night. It was probably much higher than that last night because he had I don't know how many shots it was. It wasn't a ton, and he had 25 on him. So,
but you talk about fit though. Grant Williams is the perfect fit to have around.
That was a good pick,
right?
They had a good
Luka
offseason.
And Kyrie.
They had a good Lively and Grant Williams. Getting those two guys, they had no assets, but they can get Grant Williams and Derek Lively. Meanwhile, all we can get when we have assets is Damian Lillard's replacement.
Derrick Jones.
And Derrick
Jones at one time. Hassan Whiteside.
God. Drives me crazy.
That is freedom.
Okay, we need to move on. Pelicans. Playoff? Play-in?
Playoff team.
Playoff? You believe in it?
Zion stays healthy-ish. That team is awesome if Zion's healthy.
Yeah. I agree.
Now, talk about having to stay healthy. It's a question, real question, and keep the weight off. Don't be a fatso, but
yeah,
if Zion plays, he's Hall of Fame good. That's how good the guy is.
Who are your top 6 seeds in the West?
Oh, now I got to go look to make sure I don't forget anybody and get made fun of.
So Denver, I assume, is one of them.
Denver, the Lakers. I would
Phoenix?
put probably yes. That's tough. Yeah, those are the top 3 for sure. Denver, Golden State, Phoenix. After that, I said Golden State. I probably put Golden State there too. Top 4. Then the Lakers. After that, fifth would probably be the Clippers, as long as they stay healthy, with James Harden coming in. 6, I would probably put. Man, Memphis has been bad. Are they going to come back when Ja comes back? I do believe in Memphis, but not until I see Ja stop flashing guns. So I probably would. I'd probably go with the. It's either the Thunder or the Pelicans.
Yeah, see, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at, actually.
Or the Kings. Why would I not just do the Kings?
Because they overachieved last year, and they're without De'Aaron Fox. They had historic injury luck last year. So I think the Kings are a playing team. My top 6 are currently.
How long is Fox out? How long is Fox out for?
I don't know, but I don't think
he's day to day.
I don't think Sacramento is 3 seed caliber. I think they got really good injury luck, and then they lost in the first round with home court advantage against the Warriors.
They should have won that.
Yeah, I mean, they're a good team, but there's a lot of good teams in the West. So my top 6 right now: Denver.
Yeah, so 6 I would probably put right now. I would put the Pelicans above the Thunder.
Yeah, right now I'd probably put the Thunder above the Pelicans. Right now it's Denver, Golden State in no particular order. Denver, Golden State, the Lakers, the Pelicans, the Clippers, the Thunder, and the Suns. One of those teams will be in a play-in, but I think that's the top,
which is crazy to think
7.
of.
Yeah, and then right now my 8th seed,
Dallas.
my 8, 9, 10 in some order is Dallas, Sacramento, San Antonio. Dallas, Sacramento, San Antonio, 8, 9, 10. It
seems like there's a top 7. There's a top 7 tier, and then there's a clear tier after that.
Yeah, but I also
think like Minnesota, Sacramento, Memphis when Ja comes back, Dallas, the Thunder, the Spurs if you want to throw them in there, but I don't know if I'm ready to put the Spurs in there yet.
I think the Spurs could be better than the Thunder and could be better than even the Lakers.
Ooh, the Lakers? No way, dude.
I mean, I don't know.
I would love to see it.
The Lakers were the 7th seed last year, you know what I mean? Like, they did some stuff at the trade deadline, but, I mean, I don't think the Lakers are some, like, great team. I mean, Spurs just beat Phoenix
Austin
in
Reeves,
Phoenix on back-to-back nights. Like,
crushed them, too, yeah. I mean, they had to come back. But
San Antonio, I mean, if Wemby plays like he did tonight more often, they might have the best player on either of those two teams. Like,
I mean,
how
38 points,
soon
10 rebounds?
How soon is Wemby going to be better than LeBron and AD? Could it be this year? I don't know. I just know not to roll anything out with them. You know? That's why I'm not going to roll anything out with the Spurs. Like, they could be that good because Wemby could be that good. I mean, he's a rookie. He's 19, 38 in 10 today. Made it look easy. He's an alien.
Easy. We talk about Shaedon Sharpe making it look easy. Man, Wembanyama makes it look
the
real
Blazers
easy.
were one ping pong ball away. Imagine if they had Sharpe playing like this with Wemby and Dame.
I can't imagine.
They could still make that trade for Ayton. They could have Wemby and Ayton in the front court. You know how absurd that would have been? Oh.
How about that, too? Last thing I want to touch on. DeAndre Ayton playing really well. Nurk getting booed by Phoenix fans. How do you feel?
Phoenix fans should shut up.
Banks. You
should also shut up. I mean, here's the thing. Nurkic is going to be better when they have Booker, Beal, Durant. Nurkic is going to be better. Like,
did you see Bradley Beal
he's a glue guy
the other day?
No, I heard about it. I heard it looked bad. I heard it looked stiff.
It was weird.
Yeah.
It was really weird.
But, like, Nurk, if he's the number one player, like the
I thought
number
it was funny
one...
that they were booing Nurk today.
If he's the number one option on the team, he's going to struggle. If he's a glue guy. He's a glue guy. Like, he's not somebody you just feed. He's a guy that can play some defense and, you know, hopefully doesn't try and do too much. He's not going to try and do too much if he has stars out there. So I think he'll look better when they have their stars. Like, he's had a couple of decent performances. He's also still getting used to a new team. Like, Ayton had 3 ho-hum, like, bad performances at the start of the season. The past couple games, he's been good. So that's the thing, is neither of these guys are consistent. Like, Ayton will have another stretch where he's bad for 3 games, and Nurk will have another stretch where he's good for 3 games. Like, I'm not gonna overreact to Ayton being bad for 3 games. I'm not gonna, you know, I might rage slightly, but that's different. I wouldn't boo him, okay? And Suns fans shouldn't be booing Nurk, you know.
I mean, it's nothing new. It's nothing new, right? Like, Nurkic is going to have really good games, like he played against Golden State in the first game, and then he bounces back and he has a poor game against the Lakers. Then he has a good game against Utah. He's bad game against, like, that's just
a lot of centers are.
I mean, that's just that's a lot of players are, not just centers. So
exactly. So
just thought that was funny.
Yeah, I feel bad
great.
for him that
Ayton was great. Last 2 wins, Ayton has been really good.
Well, yeah, he's rebounding great. Like, that's something I didn't expected. Like, offensively, he's been kind of quiet. He was good last game, but yeah, no,
I do like the little turnarounds he can do. It's nice to see, but
yeah, reminds
you
of Aldridge.
I don't expect those to go all year.
Reminds you of Aldridge, huh?
Yeah, that is fun. Yeah, LaMarcus, bring him back. All right. Well, anything else we want to touch on, Torey? I think that was a pretty positive episode. I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably a bunch more we could talk about right now. So maybe we'll have to get you on a watch party one of these days. But you know, so we can just kind of hang out with chat if I can convince you. you know, there's a lot of people that love the entertainment that you bring. And there's people that disagree with me that agree with you in my community. So we got Donut last game, like this guy basically saying like, we had problems this past offseason, but we're good now or something. It was, I forget, I'm paraphrasing, but I was like, all right, man, cool. Yeah, we can unite over the Blazers winning. That's fine. So, yeah.
Just keep the winning going. That's what I'm saying, man.
Dude, Memphis unbeaten.
It's way more fun when they win.
Memphis is winless. Let's get to 4-3. Let's be above 500 next time we talk on this podcast.
Can you imagine? That'd be kind of cool.
That'd be sick. That'd be sick,
dude. I can't wait. 4-3. All right, man. Well, I think I'll wrap it up there. For my guy, Torey Jones, you know where to catch him. Steven Vaughan at Steven_VON. That's where you get me. 750 the game. Check me out there. We will talk to you guys next week, and maybe I'll hop on something and we'll do some live stuff or whatever you're talking about, Torey. Just remind me. I forget about these things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an idiot sometimes, but I'll do it if I can. For my man guy, Torey, I'm Steven. I'm out. He's out. Come on, Blazers, do something.